Can you relate to this? You walk into the overnight location where you're going to camp. You spend some time selecting a good position for your tent. You put the tent up. You unpack all of your gear into that tent. You cook yourself a nice hot meal. You snuggle down into your sleeping bag. Perhaps you read a book or watch a movie that you've downloaded. Eventually, you start to tire, so you switch your tent lantern or your head torch off and drift off to sleep. And then this happens.
What the hell?
Or maybe this.
What the hell?
Or my all-time favourite, this.
This isn't right at all.
Why does this happen then? Well, the answer is fairly simple. Just look at the material of your tent floor. Look at your sleeping pad material, both the top and bottom of it. Look at the material of your sleeping bag. I'm going to hazard a guess that all three of them are fairly smooth and slick in nature. So what you're doing is you're adding a smooth, slick material of your sleeping bag onto the top of your smooth, slick sleeping pad. The bottom of your smooth, slick sleeping pad is on the tent floor, which is a smooth, slick material. You've literally got three smooth surfaces, three slick surfaces, all sliding off one another. That's why most of the time you tend to find yourself waking up in all sorts of strange, weird contortions, because those materials are not gripping to each other, they're slipping apart from one another, literally working to move away from one another. So in order to combat that, it's a fairly simple solution. It's one that I've been kicking myself for not having discovered years ago, but it's one I discovered earlier this year. It's one that I've been using now for the past half a dozen or so wild camps, and I have to say it's been working perfectly so far. Let's have a look at what it is. So what's the answer to this problem then? Well, it's this. It's some silicone tent sealant seam grip for sil nylon. That's what I did. I bought myself a tube of that, comes with a little brush applicator. I inflated my sleeping mat, put it on the kitchen table, and I painted every alternate rib on the sleeping mat, top and bottom, because remember, we want to stop the sleeping bag slipping on the top and we want to stop the tent floor slipping at the bottom. So I painted both sides of it with just a thin line of this sealant. I used a little brush applicator to just brush it in and spread it out slightly, and then I let it dry. And what it does is it provides it's not wet, it's not moist, it's just a tacky surface to your sleeping mat, which means that when your sleeping bag is touching the top of it and the tent floor is touching the bottom of it, it's got a little bit of grip, it's got a bit of resistance. And I've found since July, August this year, it's been plenty enough resistance to really minimise the slipping and sliding that can often go on. I didn't paint the full length of the sleeping mat, both sides. I figured out that roughly from kind of mid-thigh up to my shoulders is where all of the weight is going to be when I'm laid upon it, right? Your thighs, your backside, your back, your shoulders. Your head's not really there, and from your knees down, not really a great deal of weight there. So I saved myself a little bit of time and a little bit of sealant by just marking out with a little marker pen on the sleeping mat whereabouts that position was, where my body position was, and I just marked from there. And as I've said, since July this year, it's really reduced the amount of slipping and sliding that goes on when I'm in my tent. Of course, we all know that getting a good night's sleep when you're out on the hills is incredibly important. So if that's important to you as well, then check out the video that's appearing on the screen now. Dive into that for a few more top sleeping tips. Take care.